So I got an email with the subject line, "Tell me I'm going to be okay." One of my goals with this channel is to help you guys realize that you're going to be okay as a game developer. You don't need to feel anxious or stressed out. Now, before I open up this email and read the email to you, I want to let you know that you can download my free 2D game kit below. It's totally free. Use it for personal projects or commercial projects whenever you want into eternity. I really don't care. I just want to make things easier for you guys. So feel free to click that link below and download that. It's my treat to you. All right, let's make this subscriber's life a little bit easier as well. Let's read this email. And by the way, I totally understand the tone and the feeling of this email because I've been there, but I'm going to be blunt here to hopefully get to the point, make it easier for you guys to understand and this individual to understand, and calm your nerves a little bit. All right, here's the email. "Tell me I'm going to be okay." Hey, Thomas, I love your content, longtime viewer. I've finally focused on a project that I want to finish. The vast majority of the assets I'm using are from the asset store, which I legally have the right to use. The thing is, I'm terrified I'm going to end up on a channel like blah, this channel I blurred out, but it's basically a channel where they kind of crap on game developers, where everyone accuses you of being an asset flipper. I've made some of my own assets, customized some store-bought ones, and written the majority of the game's code myself. You're very open to using assets, and I remember you sort of touching on this in a past video. Do you think if I try to release a game commercially with mostly assets that people will eventually recognize them, and I'm going to ruin my... It's a little bit dramatic. I've been here, but this is a little bit dramatic. Will these assets ruin my career forever? Also, I'm not planning on it, but would running a Kickstarter with these assets be unethical and destined to fail? I'm sorry to be joking about it. I just know how this feels, and let's just get to the point here. This is called the spotlight effect. So basically what you're feeling here in this email is the spotlight effect, which is basically you think everybody cares about what you care about. You think the world is watching you, and they're really not. The majority of the world is thinking about themselves, okay? Most of the time, most people are thinking about themselves, not whether you're an asset flipper. So that's my first point. This is something that I felt when I was starting my game career. And as I've put myself out there in front of a camera every week and released games and been featured by, the press and featured on YouTube channels with like Jacksepticeye or PewDiePie, that spotlight effect diminishes and sort of diffuses, and suddenly you're like, nobody cares. And if they do care, it like lasts for a day, right? So people don't really care about you like you think they do. Now, here's when people do care, and this is my second point. Here's when people do care about your game being an asset flip game. It's not when they recognize an asset pack. They don't care about that. It's not a big deal. What they care about is when you've thrown a bunch of assets together and it doesn't look cohesive. It looks like a mess. So and I do recommend all of you use assets, but just to save time. We don't have $1 million budgets for our games. So if you're going to use assets, make sure you do it cohesively. Here's 2 ways to do that. The first way is to make a toony styled game, a stylized game. A good example of this is The First Tree by my buddy David Whaley, and he uses an asset pack called Stylized Nature Pack. I'm going to use this for my game, Father, as well. It's a great asset pack. It's awesome. Or you can make a game that's sort of crunchy and old school, pixelated. That's because you can compress down any texture you get. Let's say you have a bunch of high-res textures, and one of them's toony and one of them's really, really detailed and realistic. If you compress those down and pixelate them inside of Unity, and then compress down the sound effects as well and the music, everything feels old school and feels cohesive in that way. So that's just something to think about. Those are just 2 ways that you can make a asset flip game more cohesive. The second thing I want to talk about is this whole question of legality that you've mentioned here. First off, you said, let's see here. You did mention that you have the right to use them via this EULA agreement, but you did mention here down, will running a Kickstarter with these assets be unethical? No, I mean, that's not really something you should worry about because you're using them legally anyway. So it's okay to launch a game on Steam, and similarly, it's totally okay to launch a game on Kickstarter, because Kickstarter, all it really is it's kind of a pre-order platform. That's really kind of what it is. I mean, a lot of people don't like that. That's what I say, but it really is. If you look at the majority of the projects on there, a lot of them already have a publisher. So they're just basically pushing pre-orders. All right. So no, it's not unethical as long as you're downloading them from the Unity Assets store. Now, my final point here, I think this is really important, and I kind of giggled about this. I'm trying to be encouraging here, so I apologize if I'm a little callous. I've been here. You said, will this ruin my career forever? There's a lot of things that you think will ruin your career as a game developer. So for me, one of the things I thought would really ruin my career is if I released an indie game and with a publisher and it didn't recoup what they paid for it. So let's say they put $100,000 into the game to help me finish it, and then it didn't bring back $100,000. In my head at the time, and by the way, that didn't happen, but that was a fear I had. In my head, I was like, if I don't recoup what they paid, I'm never going to be able to work with a publisher again, because the current publisher I'm working with will spread that news that I don't make games that bring back value, right? That's just an unnecessary fear. It's not true. Making projects that fail is part of making projects and becoming successful. You see this a lot with film studios. What they'll do is they'll make 10 movies that are crap, and they'll hope that one succeeds, right? So a lot of directors, we wonder, why are these directors making so many movies that suck and they keep getting work? Or why do these video game companies keep releasing crappy games, but they keep getting enough funding to do it again and again and again? Well, that's because it's kind of like a shotgun approach. These studios, whether film studios or video game studios, they release like 10 games and they just hope that one succeeds. And they keep doing it over and over and over again, working with the same people. Now, this isn't to say that eventually you do kind of lose credibility, but you really shouldn't be worried, especially if you're young. I'm going to assume you're young here because most of my students and most of my subscribers are young. In your head, you think one bad project is going to destine you for failure and ruin your career forever. If you're not failing, if you assume that all you're going to do is succeed, that's going to ruin your career. You have to fail to have a successful career, okay? Failure is part of having a successful career. So let's say you do release an asset flip game and it's incohesive and it looks like crap and it sucks. Let's say you release Bear Simulator. Like let's say you were the dev who did that, which by the way, I'm not a huge fan of crapping on that developer at all, but I know that game really hurt his reputation. Let's say you do that. So what? Move on. Like, you'll be okay. I guarantee you if the Bear Simulator developer released a good game now, everyone would be so thrilled. It would probably get a ton of press. So in a way, it's an asset to have released a bad game and then turn it around and make a good game. So you really shouldn't be worried about that. Well, I hope I sort of calmed your nerves a little bit. Take that spotlight, that harsh, hot spotlight that's projected onto your ego right now, all of you, and try and just imagine diffusing it and maybe you pump a fog machine onto the stage and it just diffuses it a little bit. I know that's a weird metaphor. People don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about your project like you do. All right? It's just a game. So let's relax, have fun, make crappy games, because in the end, making crappy games ultimately leads to making great games. All right, guys, be sure to download that free 2D game kit below. It's my treat to you. This is going to make life a lot easier for you guys if you're making a 2D game. And if that's not interesting to you, I do have a webinar below as well, which talks about how to turn a demo or a prototype into six figures, how to also launch a Kickstarter campaign, and also build an army on social media that supports your work now and into the future. So click those two links below if you're interested in helping calm those nerves and making things easier for you. I want to do that for you guys. It's my treat to you. I will talk to you later. Peace. Or no, what do I end with? Cheers.